I'm going to show you a handful of poses that you can do every day to just feel better in your body. This is a sequence that you can do in between your yoga classes, in lieu of your yoga classes, or you can just pick a few of the poses and do them throughout your day. So we're going to start seated. I encourage you to sit on something to elevate the hips. So I have a blanket folded in half. So when we sit during pregnancy, we want the hips slightly higher than the knees. The belly is like a hammock for your baby. It's just gently spilling forward. And the belly button is straight ahead or down, never up. So if you're sitting down and your knees are really high, elevate your hips. Sit on a pillow or a bolster or a block just to give yourself a little bit more height to let those knees relax down. So you're going to sit up nice and tall. Take a moment and just slide the shoulders down your back. You can start to tune into your breath. It's an integral part of just feeling good physically, mentally, and emotionally. Breathing deeply, breathing properly. That's one of the best things that you can do for yourself during your pregnancy, to tone your pelvic floor, to create space, to release tension. So number one thing to do is to breathe. Deep diaphragmatic breath. Get the rib cage to move. And then we're going to start to take hip circles. So just rounding forward, off to the side and back. And as you do this, you can kind of play with it. You can round the spine. You can open through the heart. You can take big circles or little circles. Taking hip circles like this also feels really nice on an exercise ball. And then you're going to want to take them in the opposite direction. So with all of our poses and all of our stretches, we always do both sides. We want to work to create balance in the body. During pregnancy, that's really helpful and beneficial at helping your baby get into an optimal position for birth. We want to balance the body. So after you've taken your hip circles in the opposite direction, we'll find our way back to center. And we're just going to change the crossing of the legs. So it goes back to balancing the body. Opposite leg is in front. Sitting up tall, belly is a hammock. Just easy side stretches. So hands down by your side. One arm reaches up. And then the other arm reaches up, moving side to side, opening up through the ribs. You can take these slow. You can take these fast. You can hold them and move into your shoulders. So whatever it is you feel like you need. We'll take one more side stretch and find your way back to center. We'll do one more seated pose, soles of the feet together. So bound angle or cobbler's pose. And depending upon how you're feeling, how big baby is, your feet may be further away or close to you. You can grab anywhere that you'd like and just get nice and long. So lots of options here. You can stay long, you can move the head around, or you can slide your heart forward. Movement or stillness, just explore what feels nice for you. It's a nice way to open up the inner thighs, the back of the body. And it just comes down to variety of movement. And then eventually we'll come on back. Take the legs off to the side and move into tabletop, hands and knees. So pelvic tilts, this is one you want to do daily, about 20 to 30 or 2 minutes. There's no wrong amount. That's a good place to start. So when you're in tabletop, you want to make sure you're spreading your fingers. Slide the shoulders back, back of the neck is long. So it's like cat-cow tilt, except we're not going to do the cow tilts. We're not doing this. We're staying with the neutral spine. We're inhaling into the back of the body, expand the ribs. As you exhale, hug your baby in, chin to chest, press the floor away. Inhale, you're coming back to that nice long spine. Exhale, round, hug baby in, creating space in the back of the body. And just continuing at your own pace. I always suggest to do these in the morning. You can just roll over and do them in bed. Do them right before you go to bed. And anytime the back of the body feels a little tight or achy, let's do one more here together. And then we'll come into child's pose, taking the knees as wide as you need, sinking back towards your heels. So regular child's pose might not be an option for you. Alternative, you can keep the hips lifted, lower to your forearms. And as you move through your pregnancy, your child's pose will probably change. Everyone's different. And just take a few deep breaths here. Notice how this feels. Breathe all the way down past your baby into the bowl of the pelvis and the pelvic floor. And then slowly come back into table. So we're moving through this a little bit faster than we normally would, just to kind of give you an idea of the poses. The other stretch or pose that I'm going to show you is pigeon pose, and we're just going to come into it from our table. So you're going to take your left knee all the way out to the left edge of the mat to the wrist, and then you're going to walk that back foot back. So we're trying to square the hips forward as best as possible. We want to be cautious here not to feel any pain in the knee. If you do, you're going to skip this pose. There are alternatives that you can do. So maybe staying lifted feels nice. If it does, maybe come onto your knuckles, give your wrists a break. Maybe you want to come down to the floor or to a prop. So coming down to a prop will give you a little extra space. So depending upon how big baby is, how much space you have, you can come down. Hang out here for a couple breaths. And then we'll eventually, slowly come out. Walking that back leg back, stepping back. You might want to stretch it out, shake it out. Whatever feels good. So you're tuning into your body, listening, responding based on how you're feeling. And then you'll do the same thing on the other side. So the right knee will come all the way to the right edge of the mat. You'll walk the back foot back. Hips are squared as much as you can get them. And then just decide where you want to take it. So these asymmetrical poses are really beneficial at creating space in the pelvis, at preparing your body to push. And then very slowly come on up. So there's never any rush in these poses. I always want you to just take your time. And most of us know, and if you don't already, you will now, squatting is really beneficial for pregnancy. So we have to push our baby out. Squatting is going to help with that. We're also stretching the pelvic floor, which our pelvic floors are generally a little tight. So getting that nice full stretch is really beneficial and helpful for pregnancy. So when we come up, we're going to come up through a squat, as long as that feels okay for you. You're just going to take your feet back. Maybe your heels are on the mat, maybe they're lifted. And you're just going to come into a squat. So hands wherever helps. If you have something near you need to hold on to, feel free. If this version of the squat is too much, you can come up into a half squat. And then what we'll do is we'll all meet in this half squat. So pushing your hands into your thighs, lifting your head and your heart. We'll just do a couple of standing cat-cow tilts and hip circles. So lifting your tailbone, lifting your heart, rounding your spine. So this is one of my favorites for just opening up the back of the body. Opens the upper back, the mid back, the low back. Then you can add in these circles and then take them into the opposite direction. And in regard to the squats, any squat variation is beneficial, and you want to create variety. So maybe you do the full squat, the deep squat, the half squat. Maybe you sit on a stool. Come on up, shake it out. Maybe you have a squatty potty. Adding in a variety of squats throughout your pregnancy is going to be very beneficial, and I highly encourage that you keep up that practice forever. So the other thing that we are going to do just really quick here is a forward fold, and I'm going to use some props. So anytime you lean forward, it takes the pressure of baby off of your back. So it can feel really nice to take a fold. Maybe you lean against your couch or a chair, and maybe you want to add in some movement. Just be careful when you do this that your spine is long and you have space. So you're creating this hammock for baby. If you come down into your fold and you're like this, you don't really have a lot of room. It's all about creating space. So noticing the difference of those two positions. And then we're going to press into the thighs and come on up, shake it up. So it's just a couple of poses that you can do daily to just help some of those aches and pains and tension that builds up in between your yoga classes or when you don't have the opportunity to do a full movement practice.